Welcome to the inaugural episode of the podcast, Lana.
I'm so excited to be here, Roy.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So for those that don't know, Lana is a friend of mine. She's an ex-client of mine.
Yeah.
And she's also a host of her own podcast.
Yes.
Called Telling Me Everything with Lance.
Yes.
Shameless plug.
Thank you for the shameless plug, guys. Subscribe, follow, but also follow this one.
Yeah. I guess we can start by introducing yourself a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then I'll introduce my intention behind the podcast, what I'm aiming to do with it, and what I hope to hopefully achieve with it.
Yeah, no.
So go ahead.
Definitely. It's so weird to be on the other side.
Right? Yeah, the roles are reversed today.
The roles are reversed because
right?
Roy was on my podcast. So, guys, I'm Lana. I'm a host of Tell Me Everything with Lance. Like Roy said, I've been a podcaster for 2-3 years. I talk about dating, relationships.
Fantastic podcaster, I might add.
Thank you so much, Roy. Thank you for that. It's just everything. I think with my podcast is when something is happening in my life, I'm like, let me discuss it. Like for us, when you came on my podcast, and we're get into it today a bit, is like we both went through our like whole weight loss journeys.
Yes.
And that was something that was like I was going through at that time, kind of navigating the whole wifey era.
Yeah.
Don't live at home.
Yeah.
I have to make my own meals type of life. So yeah, that's kind of just the podcast. And besides that, I do have a normal job that unfortunately a 9 to 5 is social media. So it's super cool. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome. I guess what I'm aiming to do with the podcast is hopefully to help people in the fields of health, nutrition, fitness, wellness.
We all need it right now.
Healing, psychology, spirituality, basically anything that I've come across and that I've learned over the past few years. And I hope to, share that hopefully can help even just one person. That would be fantastic. And I guess we can start by talking a little bit about our own fitness journeys first.
Yeah.
Maybe you can start and share a little bit about, your experience with fitness over the past few years, and then when we were together as well, maybe. Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah, I think me and you bond over that. Trauma bond?
Trauma bond. That's a trauma bond for sure.
It's a trauma bond I think we have together, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think so my whole weight loss journey, I think like everyone going to college, like you don't know what fitness and health is, especially us Dubai kids. Like, alhamdulillah, we were so fortunate. We grew up in a really quite bubbled, sheltered environment. And I think like food, fitness, health, I don't know. For me personally, wasn't really discussed. I don't know about you, Roy, but it really wasn't a topic that was discussed.
Yeah, not so much.
Not so much, yeah. And like, of course, like you have our moms or whatever families who make like, the big feasts and stuff. So right. So it wasn't like a topic we discussed much. But so I went to college and I gained 25 pounds in a year, as a normal freshman does.
Absolutely.
And I really struggled to like not only get it off, but I was also, my lifestyle wasn't helping, right? We're drinking a lot, we're partying a lot, eating drunk late nights a lot. So it just got progressively worse. And I think my confidence really suffered. And I was really I was not happy with myself. And I wasn't happy with who I was. I was in a toxic relationship. And I think you might agree, when your energy is like that, you just attract bad things. You attract negative things. And I think that's what was going on for like 4 or 5 years. And then I kind of got it together my last year of, actually when I was in my master's senior year of college, I was like, khalas, like enough is enough. I need to get it together. And so I started working out, I started eating healthy, but it's really crazy when you start off, when you're at a weight of like 25 pounds over, the journey, the mental challenge every single day of like making the choice to like eat healthier, be like, or work out, it's a struggle. And I think I don't know if we talk about that mental challenge in the morning enough.
We will,
yeah.
Like, we definitely will.
Get into it. I'm like, we're gonna get into it. So that's where I kind of started, and then I came back to Dubai, and I think naturally the weight started coming off because I lived at home. Then I met you, and then we did our whole fitness journey. You kind of gave me the tools to live, and now I've lost all the weight. I say that I go up and down 2 kilos, down 2 kilos. Up, you know what I mean? Just depending on if I've stressed out work, if I haven't went to the gym that week, kind of fluctuates. But I think the biggest thing and achievement is the confidence and is the loving yourself, which is a journey I'm still on. I don't think there's an ending chapter to like, okay, I love myself. Like we're good now.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. And I think I don't know, the thing about like, as you as a nutritionist might be able to tell me or give me more insight, but when you like maintain, that's the hardest shit. That is the hardest thing to do is actually like right now maintaining it's a struggle.
Absolutely.
And I'm actually also curious from you because you went on a massive weight loss journey too, and you've mashallah maintained. Like,
I wouldn't know about maintain, but we're hanging in there. We're hanging in there. Yeah.
Well, then, like, how did you? I don't know. Like, can you kind of relate to like that maintaining thing?
Absolutely.
Like,
I think it's not just us, Lana. I think that's what everybody faces.
True.
So what I see with my clients is, like you said, to lose the weight or to actually get to the end goal, it's doable. And most people can get there.
Yes.
Whether it's with determination or motivation or discipline or putting in a good system to get there.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, the problem then becomes more difficult to maintain the actual results.
Literally.
Oftentimes, it's just because it depends on how you got your actual goal. Did you get there by doing something sustainable or something more of like a crash diet or a fad diet, which we'll get into later? Excuse me, later today. So it depends how you actually get to your goal. That might help determine whether you're going to maintain the results or not. We'll get into that in a little bit later on when we get into the fad diet section about.
I have a lot to discuss about that.
Absolutely. And I guess for me, my fitness journey, so the first time I ever stepped into the gym was in 11th grade. I used to be very into wrestling, like WWE wrestling. So obviously John Cena, Dave Bautista, The Undertaker, whatever. So those were my guys. And then I used to watch that. So obviously naturally you get into like, everybody's jacked and whatever. So since a young age, it's just been in my mind. Yeah. But I guess that's natural. I guess most guys probably, kind of go through that. Worked out a little bit in university, but nothing serious. And then when I moved back to Dubai, after living in Montreal for 5 years, so I moved back in 2013, and then there is where I started my corporate career at first. Yeah. So I started working for some FMCG companies, fast-moving goods in sales. And, obviously you get caught up in the whole corporate lifestyle sometimes, stress, looking forward to the weekend. Yep. Then the weekend comes around and then you resort to coping mechanisms, drinking too much, maybe smoking too much, junk food, this and that. And it's kind of that vicious cycle that happens basically.
And also those people around you as well. Exactly. If they're in that vibe, you're going to be easily influenced. I'm very easily influenced. And I think everyone as humans, naturally we are. And I think when you're in an environment, like when we all moved back to Dubai, I think we were in the same crew of like going out all the time. Because we're like, we're back home, We're back home, let's go. Lily's Wednesday.
No, absolutely. And then like you said, if your whole social circle is revolved around that type of lifestyle, you just get into it, you get kind of sucked in. Yeah. And then it's kind of like a vicious cycle that is kind of hard to step out of.
Exactly.
So that's the cycle that I was in from, I would say, 2013 up until probably 2018. Okay. So I got back 5 years, like I said, heavy partying, drinking, smoking, going out, eating, and then I gained a ton of weight. Okay. I wasn't healthy, not physically, not mentally. I was just in a bad state, just surviving life as opposed to like thriving or living consciously. And then when I quit my last job, this was in 2018, I told myself, you know what? From now on, so my next thing that I do is going to be something that I'm passionate about. And I was always, like I said, I was always into that whole wrestling stuff and the whole whatever. I was like, you know what? Let me start hitting the gym. So I signed up to a gym, started hitting the gym. I started doing some research on fitness and nutrition, and I got super into it. And then I really got sort of sucked into that whole fitness world. I also had a friend of mine that was in the whole fitness scene as well, Chris, the guy that I mentioned. So I was tagging along with him, and then I got super into it. Hired some coaches myself, and then I realized that I actually loved the whole fitness, training, nutrition world. And then a few months later, I sort of did a transformation. I
love how we call them transformations.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't love using that word, but that's what goes around.
It is what it is. It's transformation.
So I did my own transformation, and then I posted it on Instagram. It sort of blew up at the time, and then I realized. Viral. Say that again.
It went viral.
Well, viral, but and then I had friends started asking me about weight loss and fitness and how'd you do it, and what do you think about this training or this diet or whatever it may be. And then I realized, I kind of, I enjoy doing what I enjoy doing this. Why not turn it into a full-time career?
Totally.
So I went out, got my certifications, personal training, nutrition as well. And then it sort of just kind of started.
Like word of mouth. That's how I knew about you. Through Ani, Atani.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's how I knew about you. And I think word of mouth, definitely, I mean, whenever I say your name, like people are like, where are you the personal trainer?
Oh,
Like,
that's nice.
really, like, I think you've really made a name for yourself in Dubai.
That.
Yeah,
I appreciate
you really
that.
have.
Really, I do. Actually, it started with one of my friends reaching out to me just to say, hey, saw your transformation on Instagram.
Yeah.
Super proud of you. I'm looking to do it myself now. I'm looking for pointers and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I told him, hey, I'm actually thinking of becoming a personal trainer and nutritionist. If you're interested, he's like, dude, if you do it, I'm absolutely down for that.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, and then he became my first client, basically.
That's sick.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it just sort of spiraled from there.
Yeah. That's sick.
Yeah, so crazy story. And it's been almost 5 years to the dot now.
Wow.
Which I can't believe sometimes.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is. Never, if you had told me 6 years ago you're going to quit your job
is like your thing,
and get into this full time, I would have never believed it.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's crazy how life happens.
It is. But I'm thankful for it. And I think, Lana, when you're passionate about something and when you really love it, it doesn't feel like work in a sense.
It doesn't, yeah.
And you just, I wake up every morning now looking forward to going to work and looking forward to, I love my clients. I have a great time with them. So I'm really blessed to be able to do what I do now. And I thought my next step is to venture into podcasting. Now here we are, right?
And here we are. I can relate on the passion thing because like, even though I do have a full-time job, like I work at an agency, which can be a lot of hours, the podcast, that hour and a half I have with a guest, whether it's you or someone that comes on the podcast, that's my joy.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's my joy. Like I love learning, like kind of how you're doing this podcast, you want to learn. And I love learning. And I love speaking to people about things that they can relate to.
Yes,
and like
absolutely.
the best messages that I get are like, I love this podcast. Thank you.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that for me is enough. I'm like, I'll still do it. You know what I mean?
No,
I'll
absolutely.
still be producing episodes and stuff like that. So I relate to that.
Absolutely. And if you can help someone out by maybe teaching them something or they pick up on something, then that's even all the better.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's my intention with the podcast.
Totally.
And hopefully if that can happen, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. And I think that like relatability factor as well.
Absolutely.
You know, because like I feel like right now people listening to be like, oh yeah, I've been through my own transformation journey. Oh, I still struggle with the self-love thing. Like we're not alone. I feel like sometimes live in an isolated culture. We feel like we're not alone because we don't speak about our feelings and stuff. But like, it's nice. Like this is a great thing that you're doing. You know what I mean? It's relatable.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Seen. People want to be seen.
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. People want to be seen.
Yeah. They want to be heard and understood,
they want to be heard.
Right?
Quote me, guys.
Yeah,
Quote
don't
me.
we all? Don't we all? I wanted to ask you, what would you say were some common struggles that you faced along your fitness journey, or maybe something that your friends face? Is there anything in specific that was a challenge for you or any of your friends?
Yes, lots of challenges.
Cool.
Women and men are different.
Yes.
When it comes to fitness, I mean, I'm sure you see it with your clients.
Yeah.
We are, the like first couple years of living back in Dubai, forget college because I was in muscle tempered, I think in everyone's lives, but you know what I mean? In adult life, I would say when I first moved back to Dubai, there was a lot of toxicity around losing weight, getting skinny. It wasn't like get healthy, be a whole rounded person in terms of like 80, the 80%, 10% rule. It was more like get skinny.
Right.
Let's not eat during the day, drink wine at night, get drunk. But like, let's not. So there was a kind of a toxic culture that was in Dubai when I first got here that I think like even a lot of my friends could be like, that's what kind of happened. And then it was a challenge and it was hard. But I think as we all kind of grew up, we kind of all realized together, it wasn't even ever said. It was just kind of, it naturally happened. Where we all became a bit more assertive and firm with who we are, ourselves. And that comes with body confidence and self-esteem. So I think when we start to realize, okay, we need to love ourselves and kind of work on those things rather than just the appearance side of it, that's when things start to level out. But
100%.
I will say, even today, even at 29 years old, when, we've all been through weights up and down, crash dieting, bride dieting, I don't know what dieting, there is still a little bit of a toxic culture in terms of like, how we view ourselves and how we're like, oh, babe, did I lose weight? Girl, did I lose weight? Do I look skinny? You know what I mean? And I forget sometimes it's too toxic to say that.
It is.
You should just be like, girl, that instead of you look so skinny, girl, that's a really nice outfit.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like you look great today. You're glowing.
Yes.
Instead of kind of pointing out.
Absolutely. And
I feel like I don't think it's a man thing. I hate to say it's a woman thing, but it is a woman thing, unfortunately.
I mean, I guess it goes both ways as well. I see that with guys as well. It's like, oh, great, you lost weight. You're looking super jacked. You're shredded. Whatever it is.
Yeah,
I guess it also.
Yeah, there is
it's a two-way thing.
It's a two-way thing. Yeah.
It is.
But I think it all starts off with like and what I've learned, which I'm still struggling with, is
Yeah.
like the soul and the core.
Yeah.
Because once you're confident with who you are, no matter, of course, be healthy. I mean,
Yeah.
that's of course like the
Right.
bottom line. But no matter what appearances, you've gained a couple kilos lost, you're
Yeah.
going to be comfortable with who you are. And I
Absolutely.
think that is what I struggle with and my friends struggle with
Sure.
the most right now is
Yeah.
like being comfortable. Like, I mean, I'm guilty of this. Like earlier this week, I was like, "Oh, girl, I feel so fat."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, "Oh, girl, I feel fat too. Oh, I've gained so."
Right.
And I think it's just such a toxic narrative that
Yeah.
all of us, and I'm also in this, that
Sure,
we've all
sure.
created.
Absolutely.
And I know it's a lot with not just like my core group of friends, but like also other groups of friends and
Yes.
girlfriends
Yeah.
that like are around me, especially when it comes to like wedding stuff, because
Sure,
it's all
sure.
about the bride diet.
Right.
I won't lie, I went on an elimination diet. This
Yeah.
was more of gut reasons.
Sure, sure.
But I obviously lost a shit ton of weight
Sure,
because
sure.
I was like eliminating everything to cleanse my gut, all the things. I felt a lot better after. It's
Yeah.
one of those things that like you eat like very whole foods
Right,
and
right.
and like some potatoes, not tomatoes, very weird. But I did that obviously in the back of my hand. I was like, I know I'm doing this for my gut, but also I want to lose weight because I want
Sure.
to look a certain way on my wedding
Yeah,
on my
yeah,
wedding day. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think a lot of women can like be like fixated on a
Absolutely,
date and
absolutely.
then just work towards it. I'm sure when I worked with you, I probably said something like
yeah.
that. Mykonos. I would
Yeah.
look great for Mykonos. So I
Right,
think
right.
it's a bit toxic.
Sure.
It's a
It
bit
is.
toxic.
That's something that I see with my clients as well.
Okay.
So similar to what you're saying
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And I think what sort of amplifies this a little bit, well, not a little bit, a lot, I would say is social media.
So true.
So I think so this, like you said, this culture kind of always sort of existed.
Yes.
But I think social media these days has amplified that quite a
Totally.
bit. Right now, all you see on Instagram, if you're not, if you don't have your boundaries there and you're following, like, say, all the pages, you're going to see a lot of, like you said, it's, the
Yeah.
fitness scene, you're going to see
Yeah.
the bikinis and the guys that are shredded and this and that. And then if you're sitting on the couch looking at that stuff,
And
it
you're
can affect you.
comparing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It can absolutely mess with your mind. Like I said, I see it with my clients.
Yeah.
It happened to me as well. Especially when I first got onto the scene, I was like, okay, I have the knowledge. I have the brains or whatever.
Yeah.
But now there's like, everyone in this gym is like super jacked. I need to get like that. Otherwise, nobody's going to respect my knowledge. I need to look the part as well.
Interesting, Roy. Okay.
Yeah, and that's something that all personal trainers face.
Okay,
I'll say in
interesting.
Dubai, I don't know if globally as well, but here
Yeah.
for sure, everybody's always sort of, worrying a little bit too much on how they look because then they're worried that people might not take them seriously. And then I remember when I would gain some body fat, I'll be like, oh crap, now I don't look the part. I can't go to the beach. I can't do this. I can't do that. But that, like you said, that stems with a little bit working on your inner self,
Yeah.
as opposed to just worrying about your exterior shell, essentially. So yeah, it's something that I think many people face.
Yeah.
Like I said, social media exasperates this.
It does. Ooh, nice word.
That was a nice word. Yeah.
Good word. Nice.
I was planning it all along.
Yeah.
So I mean, it does. It really does. And I think it's important to. So social media is fantastic.
Yeah.
It can be super useful, super beneficial, super educational as well.
Definitely.
But you need to know how to use social media.
Yes.
If there's any pages that sort of make you feel like crap, maybe unfollow
I unfollow them.
or mute them
Yes.
or whatever it is.
I went on like a cleanse of like with my social media of who I was following because
Yeah.
I started to feel really bad about myself. I
Yeah.
was like, for example, I'm running a 10K in
Yeah,
March.
cool.
Woo! First time I ever do something like
Congrats,
that.
awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm really
Yeah.
excited. I've been training like twice a week on Kite Beach. But so I'm on my own journey with it where I've never run a 10K.
Sure,
like
sure.
I run berries, whatever, but like
Yeah.
I'm not like a long runner. I don't know what they call them. Like the ones that like
I'm not sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, more than 5K, let's
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
More
yeah.
than 5K.
Sure.
And I guess, of course, my phone heard me. So all of my reels and TikTok started to be about running. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. And I started to be like, oh my God, what is wrong with me?
Yeah,
How did
yeah.
I sign up for this 10K?
Right.
I don't know anything that I'm doing. Like, because I was following, like, because all these accounts kept on coming up about running and how much you should be running consistently every week to reach this goal.
Sure.
You can like somehow like unfollow like the hashtags or some topics.
Sure.
Completely remove them. Roy, this week I ran the furthest I've run,
There you go.
6.7K.
Awesome. Congrats.
Thank you so much. But I just showed me that like because I was getting so down about myself, like, oh my God, like I need to be like this, I need to be like that. I felt like I was like, it was kind of like a border or
Yeah.
like a block.
Yeah.
That was like you know, preventing me from like actually like doing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Doing more.
Like a mental block or whatever.
Exactly. Because it can get consuming.
For sure.
And I think that's part of like your whole mental wellness.
Yes.
Is social media and the time you consume on it. It's a great tool, like you said.
Yeah.
But I think also there needs to be some boundaries balance with it.
Yeah, 100%.
I used to wake up. I still do sometimes. I try not to and look at Instagram.
Yeah.
Wake up, roll over, snooze the alarm, look at Instagram.
Same.
And it can be toxic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If that's the first thing you're looking at in the morning and the last thing you're looking at before you go to bed.
Exactly.
Then that might not be the healthiest way to go about it.
Exactly.
Basically. Yeah. I'd add to your point on the common struggles. Something that I find, well, with my clients and with everybody else, is sort of looking for a quick fix.
Yep.
And nowadays, getting into the, I think we wanted to discuss this topic.
Yes.
The whole Ozempic, Mounjaro craze.
Yes.
If you can tell me a little bit about your experience, what you've heard, the whole just basically.
So I heard of Mounjaro through, I think it was social TikTok probably.
Yeah.
And some of my mom's friends had gone on it.
Yep.
So these are women that, like, I understand they're in their 50s. Like, it's harder to, after you have a baby.
Sure.
I can't imagine how that feels like. But it's harder to lose weight. It just is.
Yeah.
And I think that was like why they were. And there was like a bit more like, you know, people who had just like were unable to lose weight the natural way, and they did it.
Sure.
And they're living great lives and all the things. So my experiences, so back in last year in 2023 in like July or June, maybe even, I don't know. One of my friends calls me and is like, listen, I'm going to try Mounjaro. Do you want to do it with me? And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of curious about it. Let's see what this whole thing is.
Sure.
What's it going to do to my body? So we did it.
Yeah.
And I did it for a month.
Cool.
Oh, it was horrible.
Really?
First of all, I'll tell you really honestly for anyone. I
didn't expect that. But
it was horrible. First of all, so what it does, it suppresses your appetite. I knew that it suppressed your appetite, but so we did it like on a Sunday night. We did the injection, and then the next morning I felt horrible. Yeah. It felt like I was like sick, like achy. My body was achy. Sure. I like, you just don't eat. Like it's actually crazy how much you don't eat. And for me, I love to work out. Like something that is just in my lifestyle, I couldn't work out. Yeah. So that was one of the things I really hated about it, is that I felt like I wasn't able to do my workouts that I love to do.
Interesting.
Like either my weightlifting or my running or my Pilates. I wasn't able to really do it because I was so low on energy.
Interesting.
And then towards the end of the week, your appetite kind of comes back. So at the beginning, it's suppressed.
Because it's one shot a week, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So like say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's a bit suppressed. Thursday, you start to feel like your appetite's coming back. Weekend, it's fully back. Sure. So then it's on you to control. Sure. Right? You got to control the amount of calories so that you're not gaining what you just lost at the beginning of the week. Yeah. So I did it for a month. I fainted twice.
Wow.
I fainted twice. What else happened to me? I fainted twice. There was something else. I had panic attacks.
Okay.
Listen, I don't know. Like at that time, I was like, is it Mounjaro? Is it because I'm stressed out with work, with life? Like I was still newly like married-ish, 6 months and I think to marriage. So I was like, it could be like a lot of things. Sure. But then I went to my heart doctor, because I was actually my dad's heart doctor, but I told my dad about it. He's like, listen, this isn't normal. Yeah. So after the 1 month, I stopped. Sure. But my dad was like, go get checked. You know what I mean? Just make sure everything's okay. I'm like, fair enough. So I went to the heart doctor, whatever. I told him everything. And he had told me, he was like, because you didn't really need it. Yeah. And what, you want to lose like 2 kilos? Sure. It's not going to A, work on you really. Yeah. And B, it's going to actually damage you more than help you. Yeah, absolutely. And then he was like, we don't know what this is going to do in 10 years time. Yes. And he was saying, listen, I prescribe it to like my obese patients who really need to lose weight because it's for their health and it's because of their heart. There's too much fat around their heart and all the things. Yes. He's like, that's when I prescribe it, which makes sense. Absolutely. But he's like, for people like you, like I would never prescribe it. And like there's girls that come in all the time wanting it. And I was just like, I had this realization, Roy, and I was like, wow, I was so easily influenced by social media, society, people around me talking about like all these things that like I went into something that could have been very damaging to me. Thank God nothing else happened. Sure. The fainting was all from it. Yeah. So my friend also who was doing it with me also fainted. Wow. So it wasn't, so that's why we figured out, okay, this is something from it. Coincidence. It's not just a coincidence. And I'm not a fainter. Like it's not like I don't
You're not a fainter,
I'm not a fainter. I always drink water and I eat. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty like on top of it with that shit. But so like it was just so weird. Anyways, those are all the realizations I had. And I think it was a very hard, because also my husband was like, you're beautiful. Like
Right.
why are you trying to do this to yourself?
Absolutely.
And like also I think there's when you have a partner, of course, that like loves you for who you are, and I'm
Sure.
so blessed to have that. I think it's hard for them to understand what you're going through.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Whether it's a girlfriend, a partner, or your parents, like I feel like it's hard for them to understand really what you're going through
Absolutely.
when it comes to like your body image and self-esteem and self-confidence.
Yeah.
But Mounjaro, never again, not for me, not judging anyone that ever will
Right,
try or
right.
is on it or whatever. Of course, go through your journey, live your truth.
Sure, sure.
But this was just my experience.
Interesting. Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, for what I know, so both Ozempic and Mounjaro,
Yes.
I think they were initially made for type 2 diabetes.
Correct.
And then they figured out that, oh, hey, we can lose some weight on these as well. And then they
Yes.
got FDA approved for weight loss as
Correct,
well.
yeah.
So now they're classified as weight loss drugs.
Yeah.
And like you said, the way it works is through mainly appetite suppression.
Exactly.
It also slows down your digestion.
Yeah.
But so it comes back to the whole quick fix thing, right? And this is something I see with Western medicine in general. It looks at treating the symptom as opposed to the root cause, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you have a headache, Tylenol. You're anxious,
true, by the way.
anti-anxiety or benzodiazepines.
Yeah.
You're overweight or obese, say, weight loss drugs,
Yeah.
Ozempic, Mounjaro. Right. And that's typically how Western medicine looks at treating the situation, as opposed to, like I said, treating the root cause.
Yeah.
So it's intervention as opposed to prevention.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then, so I mean, look, this is not medical advice or anything like that, but from what I understand, yes, you may lose the weight, obviously, because it's suppressing your appetite.
Yeah.
If it's suppressing your appetite, you're going to eat a little bit less.
Of course.
And if you eat fewer calories, you're going to end up losing the weight.
Exactly.
But it comes back to the point we were talking about before, which is sustainability, right? So if
Yeah.
you didn't build the good habits,
Yeah.
you didn't learn about, portion control
Yeah.
and your calorie intake, your protein intake, your fiber, getting your nutrients in, fruit and veg, then if you haven't learned those habits, then you're not going to be able to sustain that. So you lose the weight while on the drugs, but then what happens when you pull it off?
Yeah.
Right? You're going to rebound, maybe overshoot
Yeah.
beyond your initial point even.
I know people that happened to that they were
Yeah.
on it, they got off it, and they gained half the weight back because, like
Exactly.
you said, they're not fixing the core issue,
Exactly.
and they're not actually embedding healthy lifestyle choices and habits into their life.
Yeah, 100%.
They're just not. It's a quick fix, like you said.
Exactly. It's a quick fix. So yeah, I mean, my personal recommendation, so I've had some clients that have asked me about it.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I typically say, look, obviously it's your body. You can do what you want. You can try it, but I don't personally recommend it for the reasons that I just mentioned,
Yeah.
right? There's many things that can offer you a quick fix. If you starve yourself or you go on some crazy crash diet, you're going to lose the weight. But
Yeah.
like I said, what's the point in doing it if you're not going to sustain it and you're only going to rebound and overshoot beyond your
Yeah.
initial point even?
No, you're so right.
Yeah. Plus, there's like you said, it's a relatively new drug.
We don't know what's gonna do to us.
Who knows what's going to happen down
Yeah.
the line? They may figure out some more side effects. The only use case I could see people actually using it is if, like you said, if you're severely obese or
Yeah.
overweight to the point where you're in like a critical state,
Exactly.
then that could be a good intervention. And like I said, and that's where Western medicine comes in. If something's like urgent and critical, then you need to potentially do it.
100%.
It's the same with the gastric bypass surgery and
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah. That was like a big thing a couple years ago.
Yeah,
Everyone
and
was
that's
doing
an
it.
intense,
intense.
operation or surgery.
It's very
like I said, if you
intense.
need it, by all means, 100%.
course.
But at least I would recommend not resorting to it as your very first option.
Totally.
Try and get it done naturally through educating yourself on nutrition.
Or
and then
listening to this podcast.
Yeah, or listening to this podcast, right? And then look at the root cause. And then sometimes people have, disordered eating habits, potentially due to
Yeah.
different reasons. Could be even like underlying unresolved trauma.
Yeah.
There's so many different reasons why people, gain weight or struggle to lose weight. And if you don't address those core issues, injecting a weight loss drug is not
It's not the answer.
the end-all solution, unfortunately.
It's really
I wish it
not.
were. That would be easy
Yeah,
and
I mean,
nice, and life
it
would be great.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's not.
And I think there's a big, I don't know. See, like in the US, I'm not sure in the West, like I'm sure Ozempic and Mounjaro are big.
Yeah.
But here, Roy, like during the whole like me getting it and stuff, by the way, it wasn't like I just woke up and like the next day went to the pharmacy and got it. It was a
Yeah.
mission to get.
Really?
It is sold out here all the time.
Really? Do you need a prescription for it?
No, you can. Well, you can
Okay.
buy it off. Well, if you get a prescription, I'm sure it's a lot cheaper.
Sure.
But you can buy it just off the counter.
Interesting. I didn't know
And
that.
it's extremely expensive. It's like a K plus.
Yeah.
So
Per
for just
what?
4. for 4.
Four
so like
shots.
for a month.
Okay.
For a month, it's like 1.7K, I think.
Sure.
But like it's hard to find. It's not like
Yeah.
it's like readily available. You can just go down the street right now and find it.
Yeah.
So and it made me think. I was like, wow, there must be so many people on this that aren't even saying anything.
Absolutely.
Right? They're just like, oh, like they're losing weight. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good for them. I don't think we would think naturally as humans, oh,
Yes.
they're on Mounjaro, oh, they're on Ozempic. You know what I
Exactly,
mean?
exactly.
But now I think that we're more aware of it. I don't know. Do you think people should own up to it and be honest?
Look,
Like,
I mean,
what is your view on that?
To each their own. You know,
Yeah,
you don't have
okay.
to share your
Yeah.
information publicly with anyone if you don't want to.
Yeah.
It's if you feel comfortable sharing your, private life, then you can do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I just don't think that it's the solution to losing weight. And
Yeah.
then with, if you notice, Lana, in the health and fitness industry, it's full of these quick fix, lose weight now, get shredded now. It's full of them. Ever since I
wild.
remember when I was a young kid, there was the Abtronic. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Abtronic?
Abtronic. It was this
You, like, put a thing
Yeah,
here?
absolutely. It was this machine that you strap on your abs, and it sort of like vibrates and sells.
Stop.
Yeah, and it sends pulses in your abs, and it promised to get you abs within like a month or 2 or whatever.
Stop.
And you know what's funny? I went straight away and bought it. Me and my friend.
Like I bought it.
Yeah, like we bought it at the time. I remember I was like, I must have been maybe like 14 or whatever.
Oh my God, this is so funny.
Yeah, and then I saw it on the ads. I'm like, oh, they can't be lying because this is on TV and this is an ad, right?
Of course, yeah.
So I bought it, and then I, strap it on. There's like this gel that you put on, and it vibrates. It makes you feel like your abs are contracting, which they probably are.
Yeah.
But that's not the way to get abs, right?
Of course.
So yeah, just the health and fitness industry is
Even
filled.
those teas.
So the detox teas, which by the way are actually laxatives, like those booty
yeah.
detox teas,
My
whatever.
God,
They
were,
just
of
make you
course. Yeah.
shit, basically.
Yeah.
And then obviously you're losing weight because you're
Because you're just
dehydrated and
pooping
you're
out.
shitting everything out.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna
That
lose
was a dangerous one. Back when I was in high school, me and my best friend Mimi did the Dukan diet.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one? It was
I remember. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I remember the name.
Just protein.
Okay.
Like only protein.
Yeah.
And like you obviously get constipated because you're not eating any fiber.
Sure.
And it like ruined our systems for 2 weeks. I did keto.
Sure.
Keto was actually the one that I was like, this is okay. Like I wasn't super keto, like absolutely no carbs, but I felt like that was the one that like I got it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't too unhealthy.
Sure,
like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I understood it, but as in to sustain that forever,
Yeah.
I mean that's
So
ridiculous.
that's the thing.
Like,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
Absolutely, and that's another thing that goes around is not only the products that promise you weight loss, it's also the diets that promise you weight loss as well. And like I said, ever since I can remember, since I was a kid, there was the South Beach diet, then the Atkins diet, and then more recently there's like the Paleo, the Carnivore, Keto, whatever it may be. It seems like every now and then there's a diet that's coming out that promises extreme weight loss.
Yeah.
And I remember in the I think it was the 90s, going on a low-fat diet was the way to go, right? So then all the products became low-fat, right? Low-fat cheese, low-fat milk, low-fat this.
Yeah.
They're like, it's the fat that's causing the weight gain, right? So then all the products went low-fat. And funnily enough, what happened was obesity rates skyrocketed after that whole low-fat craze, because what happens is they just substituted the fat with an excessive amount of sugar and carbohydrate. So sure, you have a low-fat product, but now your sugar and carbs are through the roof, which in turn increases the calorie content of the product. And now all of a sudden you're consuming more calories than you were before.
Yeah.
Right. And people obviously not aware that calories is what determines your weight loss or weight gain. They look at the label, they're like, oh, 0 fat, so this must be great. And then they associate the word fat, as in dietary fat, with body fat, which are not the same thing. They have the same name, but they're not the same thing. So if you're eating 0 fat, does not mean you can't gain body fat, right?
Yeah.
It still comes down to your overall calorie intake. Again, so then the carbs became the devil after that. So they're like, oh wait, we increased the carbs and now it's carbs.
For like so long.
Everybody was, right? I remember I went on, I think I did keto when I was like younger, before I got into the fitness scene.
Yeah.
Just because, people were talking about it. So I was like, hey, we'll try it. But yeah, these things, like you said, they're not sustainable.
Not sustainable.
They're very, that's why they're called fad diets, right?
Yeah.
Because they fade away over time.
And they're short term.
They're short term.
You're not focusing on the core problem at hand.
Exactly.
And so what are like ways that you tell either clients, yourself, to like, what are some tips that you would say to make your diet sustainable? Is it like easy workouts? Is it like, because for me, like I found what I like to do at the gym.
Yeah.
That helped a lot.
Sure.
I was like, I do like weightlifting once a week, Pilates twice, I run once.
Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it. I can wake up and I'll do it.
Sure.
And then with eating, like I'll have my favorite recipes, and that's how I am able to, except weekends, of course. You know, we're always going out, whatever. But like during the 5 days, that's how I was able to sustain it most part. What would you say to someone that's like, how do I maintain, or how do I get into it?
Yeah.
And not like do a keto.
Sure.
You know what I mean? For a quick fix.
Yeah. No, good question, because I think that's probably finding that is probably the most important thing.
And it's the hardest thing to do.
It is the hardest thing as well. So I think I would start by saying, first and foremost, you need to be eating foods and incorporating foods that you actually enjoy eating. Because if you're eating a diet that you hate, no matter how healthy it is, no matter how perfect on paper it is, if you're not enjoying it, then you're not going to stick to it, no matter what it is, right? That's not to say fill your diet up with candy and chocolate and chips.
Of course, yeah.
But it's finding that balance of actually enjoying what you eat on a daily basis. That, I would say, is probably the most important thing. And then it's learning about nutrition a little bit, learning about portion size, calorie intakes. Yeah, so portion size is a huge thing. Yeah, so I can't tell you, Lana, how many times, for example, someone would come up to me and say, hey, I'm eating, avocado and salmon and olive oil on my salads and this and that. I'm eating all the healthy foods, but I'm not losing weight and I'm even gaining weight, and I can't tell what's going on, right? And that's because there's, I think, sometimes a lack of knowledge in terms of, like I said, portion size, calorie intakes.
You taught me that, by the way.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
portion size thing.
Did I?
Yeah. I knew about portion size, but you actually taught me, because I was weighing my food for the first couple weeks. You didn't want me to be like, only weigh my food, that's how I'm going to eat. But I think in the beginning, just for your eyes, to see, to understand, okay, a chicken breast, that 100 grams is X amount of calories, not calories, but you know what I mean? Just what puts on your plate, because you're right, it's like I'm sure putting dressings and all this, like olive oil, fats, but it's a lot of calories.
Exactly. So that's the point. So initially, sometimes I'll have my client weigh their food, not to have it a lifetime sentence.
Of course, but it's
for the education portion of it, right? So, for example, a lot of people are shocked how many calories peanut butter can have, right? Peanut butter is considered like a healthful food, which it is, but it's quite calorie dense, right? So if you pick up a tablespoon of peanut butter, if it's 10 grams versus 20 grams, which kind of looks the same on a spoon, but there's a huge amount of calorie difference to that. So yeah, it's just about educating yourself on the portion sizes, calorie intakes of different foods as well, learning about fiber, protein, carbs, fat, what has what. So I think once you get a gist of the education, you don't need to be an expert at it. Yeah. But if you have some sort of knowledge and then you incorporate foods that you enjoy on a daily basis, I think that's the key to long-term sustainability. It's really not about looking for the next fad diet or fad product or fad weight loss drug or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's like about food. Like I rotate on recipes during the week that I'm like, all right, I like this. It gets out fish. I'll make a nice fish and mushrooms, but I'm like, I'm enjoying what I'm eating. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And when I want I don't know if you ever experienced this with your journey, but when I was on this health phase, especially from college to Dubai, whenever I'd eat a junk meal, I feel so guilty after. Because I'm like, shit, I've been really trying, working hard. I just had a late night McDonald's, #boycotting now, but before the boycott, I would have a McDonald's meal and feel so guilty the next day. You know what I mean? And then the next day, I think we've talked about it before, when you drink. Yeah. It's not just the drinking session.
Absolutely.
It's the after.
It's the after, and it's even before the after. What happens the night of. Yeah. So like I say, with drinking, it's not, like you said, it's not just the calories that you consume. No. It's the whole shebang that goes along with drinking. Exactly. Right? So first, it's the calories from the alcoholic drinks themselves, from the drinks themselves. And then you have the night of, if you're going to McDonald's at 3 a.m., slamming that Big Mac and cheeseburger, chicken fries, whatever it is, right? Yeah. And then you wake up and then you feel kind of hungover. You also crave maybe junkier foods or fattier foods, whatever it may be. And then also you're feeling a little bit lethargic. You don't feel like going to the gym. You don't feel like exercising, working out, whatever.
Want to be a couch potato.
Exactly. And that sort of drags on for a day or two. 100%. So if you look at that 48-hour window, it's a lot more than just, I had 4 tequila shots, which is 300 calories, and that messed up my diet. It's the whole shebang that comes along with it.
It's the whole 12 hours.
The whole 48 hours or whatever it is. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
True, 48 hours, then I don't know if it's with age. I mean, obviously it is with age. But because when I drink now, my body cannot handle it like it used to. I used to be able to drink the next day, be at Barry's boot camp at like 10 a.m. My body does not do that anymore.
I think you've also come hungover to a couple sessions with me as well. I'm pretty sure I remember that.
That's what I mean. Like I'll force myself to get up the next morning. I'm like, I need to work out because you feel so much better after. Obviously, the sweat, the toxins get out. But I've noticed now, I don't know if this is age or like because I want to live a healthier lifestyle, is that I will choose events, nights out, like I will pick and choose them so I don't feel like, so I don't mess up me feeling good about myself or me feeling good the next morning. You know what I mean? That's not something I think I was willing to not compromise on it before, but now I'm like, no, I want to compromise on like, maybe I won't have like a 3 a.m. or night. So I can wake up and go to my 10 a.m. class. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I think it comes down to just finding that balance, right?
All balance.
To go extreme in any direction may not be sustainable as well.
Exactly.
So even with my clients, I never tell them, you know, you're not allowed to drink or you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to have a burger or whatever. It's, like I said, it's a balance. Learning how to find a sweet spot between enjoying your life and then having a bit of fun as well. But it's instead of having like a 50-50, maybe, I don't know, like an 80-20 or whatever it is. Same goes with alcohol, right? So a lot of people, it's either like, oh, I'm not drinking tonight or I'm getting blackout wasted tonight. Right? But there is an in-between that can happen.
Is.
Yeah, right?
We just don't want to do it.
Absolutely. So yeah, it just comes down to finding that balance. And then it's funny because when you do find that balance, life just becomes great, right?
Simple.
You don't need to worry about, I don't want to go out anymore. I don't want to do this. I don't want to socialize. I have a birthday coming up. I don't want to attend the birthday because I'm worried that I'm going to get too wasted or eat too much or whatever the case may be. You stop fearing social events.
Exactly.
And you know that no matter what happens, you're going to find sort of like a balance. And then the next day comes and you just get right back on track and just continue from there.
Exactly.
But it's tough. So a lot of people struggle with balance. I find that a lot of people fall into the all in versus all out mentality. I think this is something we touched on in your podcast as well. It's normal. It's not normal, but it's common to have an all in or all out mentality.
I mean, that's how I am too. If I put my mind,
was the same.
I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Like that. It's all in. No late night drunkies. But like, it's so crazy how maintaining a sustainable lifestyle is the hardest part. Like
absolutely.
Maintaining.
It is.
It is actually the hardest part to do.
It is. Yeah, we tend to swing between extremes. But life in general is best lived in balance of some sort, in harmony of some sort. It's really about finding that sweet spot. And then once you find it, it's like, ooh, like I said, life is great. Everything just flows and you're not worried to do social events or dinners or whatever we just mentioned.
Do you think you're maintained?
Much more than before, that's for sure. So like I said, before I got really overweight because I went extreme on that. And then I went extreme. I flipped the switch and went extreme on the other side. So then I got super lean and shredded and muscular, whatever, got into bodybuilding, all of that. So I went from that extreme to this extreme, both of which, by the way, are unhealthy, right? So even when I looked my best, I wasn't the healthiest, right? Not physically, not mentally as well. I was worried about every single calorie that went into my mouth. I was worried about every single dinner that I had outside. I remember I'd go out for dinner, not eat, come home, chicken, rice, and broccoli at like 3 a.m.
What?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got super into that whole like bodybuilder scene or whatever, which, like I said, isn't necessarily the healthiest way either, even though you look, quote unquote, great, right? But it's not healthy either. Like I said, not physically, not mentally. My sleep was whack. Just everything was out of balance. So like I said, I went from that extreme to this extreme, and now I've sort of found a sweet spot or a balance in between the two. So I'm not my biggest, not my leanest, but I think this is probably the most balanced that I've ever been.
That's amazing though, Roy. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, especially, being in the industry, as a personal trainer and nutritionist, you have the pressure to look a certain way for fear of not having, say, respect from your peers or your clients. But I realize it's really not about that. And it's like I said, it's finding that sweet spot. It's sure, if you want to look great for, say, a wedding or a photo shoot or whatever the case may be.
Or your 30th birthday.
Or your 30th birthday that's coming up. April 20, everyone, by the way.
Everyone better wish me happy birthday.
So yeah, if you want to go for that, sure, you can get it done. And then I have clients that want to do that, right? If I have a client that's getting married, or like I said, going for a certain photo shoot, sure, we can go a bit extreme with that.
Yeah.
But it's letting them know.
Back to base though.
Exactly. Letting them know that, hey, sure, we can go extreme for a little bit if you want to, but just know that this is probably not sustainable unless you sustain that extreme lifestyle, which is possible, but then you have to know that
it's sacrifice though, Roy.
Exactly. There's so much compromise, so much sacrifice that comes along with it. And then it just becomes a matter of choosing what you want to do, right? Do you want to go extreme with that, not have any social life, which is fine, that's your choice. But it's just important to educate the clients on the sort of consequences of going extreme in either direction, right?
100%.
Yeah, so I think that's an important point to mention, because I see so many people fall into the swing of extremes.
I mean, we did. Both of us did too.
Absolutely.
And then you just have to come back to like base. That's what I keep saying. Come back to base.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
find
you
that
said,
balance.
Exactly. And coming back, find the balance.
Yin yang.
Yin yang.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Do you correlate happiness, like some sort of happiness, to how you feel on the inside or how you look on the outside, or both?
Good question, because I used to correlate my happiness with my exterior.
Me too.
Only.
Yes.
So if I looked great, I'm super happy.
Me too.
And if I gain weight, I'm pissed off, or I'm not so happy, I'm not so confident.
Like it affects your mood.
It affects your mood.
Yes.
You don't want to go to the beach anymore.
Exactly.
You don't want to be seen. Like I said, especially for me being a personal trainer, that adds the extra pressure over probably anybody else, right? But that's because there was a lack of inner sort of peace or inner harmony, inner happiness. I think once you work on your inner self, you start to realize that your exterior matters a lot less, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Before, I'd only be confident if I'm super shredded.
Yeah.
And then if I wasn't, I'll be like, no, I can't be seen, right? Now it's like, okay, you know, we go through phases, and now it's like, okay, I'm not the leanest, but that's okay, right? And I think that's what confidence really is about. It's just being okay with whatever the situation may be. That shouldn't rattle your
embrace it.
Inner self. Absolutely.
And that's because I'm exactly like you. Like I focus my happiness on purely exterior.
Yes.
And I was really dismissing the accomplishments in my career,
there you go,
professional life, relationships. Like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? It was quite dismissive of all of that.
Yeah.
But then like I think after I got married, it's weird. I don't know why this happened after I got married. I don't know what happened there, but I guess Khaled has a really good influence on me.
Yeah.
But after I got married, I kind of realized, because I was like, you know, the wedding body and this and that, and I don't know what, and the hecticness and the honeymoon. And then I came back and, oh, it's quiet, right?
Yeah.
Nothing to plan. So then I kind of realized, wow, like a lot of my happiness was very heavily on my exterior. And
Yes.
everyone was telling me, you look great. Oh my God, you lost all weight. And that's what you want to hear on your wedding day, to be honest. You want to hear you look great and you look beautiful and all the things. But it shouldn't be like an addiction.
Yes.
That's what you crave. That like, okay, you want to like you losing weight to get the validation from others.
Exactly.
And that's something that I've really come to terms with and working on like this last year.
Yeah.
Wow, we're in 2024.
Yeah.
Like last year, that was something I really put focus. I went into therapy. I was like, I'm fixing this core issue. You know what I mean? It's still a journey. I'm still on a journey with it. But it's like we said, it's a what did he call it? I said it early in the episode. Progress?
Lifelong
mission, purpose?
I think so. I can't even remember now.
Something like that. But like it's a continuous journey.
Yes.
It doesn't stop.
Yes.
You just get better at it.
Yes.
And I think that like now I'm starting to appreciate the more of like my professional, my career, my marriage, like you know what I mean? There's other things that bring me happiness and that give me that confidence than only exterior looks.
Absolutely.
And of course, when you go to the gym, you feel great after, right? And it builds your confidence because you're like in the serotonin, like all that stuff is happening. But it's important not to be dependent on it.
Absolutely.
I think that's because I think there are a lot of gym people. I'm just calling them gym people because that are that are addicted.
Those gym guys.
the gym boys that are addicted to that high they get from a gym.
Absolutely.
Right? Like that's kind of, and it is a bit addictive, but I guess it can be unhealthy, like you were saying.
It can, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
it
that
can go one way.
Exactly. That can be unhealthy. Like you said, external validation is also a slippery slope, right? It's a dangerous drug.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody wants to be validated externally, and it's nice when people tell you, hey, great job, whatever. You want that social support, that communal validation or whatever. But it's dangerous when you totally rely on it, right? If it's like, if I don't get it, then I'm not happy, or I'm not whole, I'm not at peace. That's what I guess needs to be worked on if somebody falls in that category.
I agree.
Yeah. Going back to struggles, I feel like this whole podcast has been about struggles now.
That's the stuff, most people can relate to. They're gonna be like, yeah, I got it.
PCOS is another topic that we wanted to talk about.
Yes.
Anything you can share from your end?
Yeah, definitely. So I was diagnosed with PCOS, I think college, like late college, like senior year, master's program type of vibe. So I was diagnosed with PCOS, and I like kind of just dealt with it. Like I was on glycophage. I think even when we were training, you knew that I was on glycophage and just like dealing with it. And I think like the way to deal with it is like, some of it is like to eat healthier, to lose weight. A lot of it comes, I think they said like, don't quote me, but there is the percentage of women that have it now is a lot more now than it was like even 10 years ago, because of the stuff we're eating, the hormones that are in our meats and chickens and fruits and vegetables.
Right.
That is a cause of PCOS. Don't quote me. I think this is what my gynecologist educated.
It's not medical advice, guys.
This is not medical advice. This is what my gynecologist told me. But I've noticed that through my getting a healthier lifestyle, my PCOS, like I went to the gynecologist maybe a year ago, so it's gone down tremendously.
Okay.
And it's because of your healthy lifestyle.
Fantastic.
And because you're, on your vitamins. So I stopped taking glucophage and insulin. I think that was the other one.
I'm not sure.
Anyways, there's 2 vitamins. I stopped taking them. Now I'm taking a probiotic, vitamin D, NAC. I take other stuff, but my PCOS, the number one's like, I think as a woman, this might be too deep, but like it's like getting pregnant. Yeah. Because with PCOS, you can be infertile. That is the biggest fear that I had with being PCOS, because I don't want that to happen. So you don't want to have it to be a struggle. So that's why, like, I think that's why for me, I was so determined to get my PCOS down. I was like, I need to, and now it's under control. I still have it. I don't know if it'll ever go away. I think it's just something I have to live with it. It's all about management.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Because you work with a lot of women, I'm sure they've had PCOS. Absolutely. I mean, I'm included in that number.
Yeah, it's quite common nowadays. So like you were saying, a lot of people have it. The statistic I read was anywhere between 5 to 20% of people nowadays. Wow. So 20% being 1 of 5 people, which is quite common.
That's wild.
It is. Well, first, for those that don't know, PCOS stands for Polycystic Ovary Syndrome.
Probably should start with that.
And it's a hormonal condition. Yes. And essentially, to be diagnosed with PCOS, you need to have 2 of the following 3 conditions. One is if you have high testosterone levels, which you can check in a blood test. Second is if you have cysts on your ovaries, which you can check on a ultrasound. Yep. And the third one is if you have an irregular cycle or if you lost your period completely. So to be officially diagnosed with PCOS, you need to have 2 of those 3 conditions. And then if you do have PCOS, you can have something called insulin resistance. Yes. So insulin resistance is essentially when your body doesn't respond to the insulin that your pancreas is secreting. Yeah. And if it doesn't do that, then that's not a great thing, because then your blood glucose levels can be a little bit higher, your blood sugar levels. You can get something called hyperglycemia, which eventually may potentially lead to complications, as in getting prediabetes or diabetes down the line. Yeah, and then you mentioned a couple of medicines, so that would be more on the medical side. From what I know from a nutritionist standpoint, things like losing a bit of weight can help with PCOS.
It helps a lot.
So that's been shown, so losing a bit of weight can help with PCOS. Reducing your carbohydrate intake as well. Yes. Especially the high GI foods, so things that spike your blood sugar levels high because of the insulin resistance that we just mentioned. Eating an overall nutritious diet can help as well. A anti-inflammatory diet as well, so getting your omega-3s, your monounsaturated fats, fiber, antioxidants. And then the last one, from a supplementation point of view, there's a supplement called myo-inositol. Okay. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I haven't heard of it, actually.
Okay, so that's a...
Was that what when we trained together, is that what I actually don't remember?
I can't remember now.
Yeah, I can remember.
Yeah, but myo-inositol, so I think the ones that you mentioned are probably medicines that are prescribed from a doctor. So. Yeah, but this supplement, myo-inositol, you can get it over the counter. Nice. 2 to 4 grams per day has been shown to help tremendously. Wow. So those are the general recommendations on how to manage PCOS if you do have PCOS.
I think the number one thing that I've seen with a lot of my girlfriends, no matter what size they are, is the carbohydrates, the insulin resistance. Yes. That helps so much with the PCOS. And of course, living a healthy lifestyle and healthy eating, working out, also types of workouts.
Yes.
types of workouts, like not putting so much stress on your body.
Yeah, I mean, I think just in general, not stressing your body out is probably good for most conditions that you have, right?
Yeah, true.
Stress is really a silent killer.
It is.
When your body's stressed out, your whole system just sort of crashes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably a good point as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess our final point would be so I mean, to conclude the episode, basically, what's one thing that you would take away from the episode if somebody were to go on this whole fitness journey?
I would say, so keep going. I mean, I know everyone says keep going, and it's so annoying to hear that from me, but I really promise, like, on those hard days, just keep going on your journey. You're in your own journey, no matter what that looks like.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
You are the only one judging yourself. You know what I mean? No one else. Everyone has their own shit. They have their own lives.
Right.
You're the only one judging yourself. So be authentic, be truthful. You have a hard day, you skip the gym, it's chill. You're on your own journey. It's like it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely.
I'm still on the marathon of finding my true like self-love being.
Right.
And like I'm okay being on that journey.
Awesome.
And I think that's number one thing that I would love people to
That's
do.
fantastic.
What about you? Listen to the podcast.
Yeah, just listen to the podcast. That's
Subscribe, like, it, guys. Follow.
But yeah, no, interesting. Self-love is a topic, obviously, we won't have time to cover today.
Yeah.
But that's a topic for another episode for sure.
Part 2.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, Lana, for making the time to be here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for your insights. Thanks for your input. It was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much,
You're
Roy.
welcome.
Guys, subscribe, follow this podcast. Let's go.
Yeah. Cool. I guess that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Yeah, awesome.